What if I told you that the horror movies you play inside your own head could literally make you break out in a cold sweat? And what if some people are just immune to that? Today, we're going to dig into the powerful, almost unbelievable link between what we imagine and how our bodies react in the real world. All right, to get our heads around this, let's start with a little story. Picture this, a tale of two different minds, both hearing the exact same thing in the exact same unsettling place. So imagine this eerie kind of gothic room, shadows are flickering, and outside the window there are these strange blood-red flowers. Two people have just been told a really terrifying story. Now here's where it gets wild. One of them is physically drenched in sweat, heart pounding, clearly reliving the horror in their mind. And the other person? Ghost quiet, just perfectly and almost unnervingly calm. So this is the big question, right? They heard the same words, they were in the same room. Why is one person having this visceral, physical reaction of pure terror, while the other is totally unfazed? The answer, it turns out, has nothing to do with being brave, and everything to do with how their brains are wired to see, or in some cases, not see at all. To really get why, we have to talk about something called the mind's eye. It's this thing we all have, but it turns out the way we each experience it is, well, it's wildly different from person to person. Let's just try a quick experiment, you and me, right now. Close your eyes for a second and imagine a blood-red flower. Okay, what do you actually see in there? Is it a super sharp, vivid, almost photorealistic image? Can you see the dewdrops on the petals and everything? Or is it more of a concept? Like, you're thinking about a red flower, but there isn't an actual picture there. Your answer puts you somewhere on this really fascinating spectrum. So if you saw that crystal clear, high-definition flower, you might be on the side of what's called hyperphantasia. This is the ability to create mental images that are just as vivid and detailed as seeing something in real life. And that was our character who was reliving the horror. Their mind was basically projecting the scary story onto an internal movie screen in stunning 4K. But what if you saw nothing? Just blackness, but you knew you were thinking about a flower? That's aphantasia. It's the inability to voluntarily create mental pictures. For these people, the mind's eye is effectively blind. And this, right here, was our ghost quiet, perfectly calm character. And here's the most important part. This isn't some on or off switch. It's not like you either have it or you don't. Most of us fall somewhere in the middle of this huge spectrum of human experience, from a totally blank inner world to one that's just bursting with cinematic detail. Okay, so we've got these different visualization abilities, cool. But how in the world does that lead to a real physical reaction like sweating? Well, this is where it gets truly mind-blowing. Your body is always listening to your mind's eye. For the person with hyperphantasia, it's like a direct chain reaction. First, they hear that scary story, and their mind instantly creates a vivid, terrifying image. Then, step 2, their brain, especially the part that scans for threats, can't really tell the difference between the super realistic internal movie and actual reality. It sees the image as a real present danger. And that leads right to step 3, the body's alarm system goes off, flooding the system with stress hormones. And boom, you get the racing heart, the cold sweat. And this is the absolute key takeaway. Your brain doesn't always wait for your eyes to confirm there's danger. If the picture coming from your imagination is powerful enough, vivid enough, the physical reaction is just as real as if the monster was standing right there in the room with you. Okay, so now let's flip back to our calm character, the one with aphantasia. For them, that crucial first step, creating a vivid mental image, it just never happens. They get that the story is scary on an intellectual level, sure, but there's no horror movie playing in their head. And with no mental image, the brain never gets that false alarm signal. No false alarm means the body just stays calm. It's really that simple. So all of this leads to a really, really interesting question. We tend to think of not being able to visualize as some kind of deficit, right? But what if, in certain situations, it's actually a kind of superpower? And that's the provocative idea that comes out of this science. Think about it. If you can't be haunted by vivid mental replays of something traumatic that happened, or you can't be paralyzed by terrifying visualizations of what might go wrong in the future, you might just be the most level-headed person in the room during a crisis. You're not getting derailed by all the internal horror movies that can totally overwhelm the rest of us. And that's the thought I really want to leave you with today. So many of our modern anxieties or stresses, they're born from things we just imagine. All these worst-case scenarios we project into the future. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world so saturated with these imagined fears, could a mind that simply cannot see them be the ultimate advantage? Something to think about.